gives me a little bit more street cred because I'm not afraid of the T's. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting psychology.
I don't know. Yeah.
So why did I ask these people who would steal a homeowner away from me
Uh-oh.
to stay and talk on my real estate program? Well, first of all, it was just interesting. I did have a 10-day RV trip, which was a fabulous trip. How else can you travel with 6 children and 2 adults and, I mean, afford to have any place to lay your head except to RV, and all be together? Would have taken multiple cars, it would have taken a trailer. So we had a great time in a Hurricane.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thor,
Class
yeah,
A, yeah.
Class
Awesome
A.
Class A gas motor.
It was a true gift to have someone loan us that to use for our trip. So we went to Wyoming, and
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
it was Yellowstone and Grand Tetons, all that kind of stuff.
Was it
So
pretty busy in Yellowstone?
it was pretty busy. There was a good hour to
Last
get.
time I was there, it was a 45-minute wait.
Yeah,
to
that
get
was.
in the gate.
Well, it wasn't that long to get in the gate. It was just, that's a big park. That's the size of a state,
Right.
and so to get all the way, a small state, but to get all the way across is, just to get down to Old Faithful was 50 miles.
Yeah.
And so it was just a really good time with the family. I think that's one of the things. I listen to pieces of your show. I don't get to hear it all, and I don't know how much you talk about the time that families get to spend together with RV. Those are memorable things. And I didn't really understand it. The first time I had a client who said, and this was many years ago, say 20 years ago, they said, well, we're selling our house and we're going to live in an RV. I thought, honestly.
You're like, hold on, someone key the banjos. Right?
I was thinking like, yes, Beverly Hillbillies or Carney or something that just was not high up there. Now, I'm sorry to everyone who's in RV. This was many years ago. I've changed. I'm
And so have
a
RVs,
different.
mind you.
I'm
Yeah.
a different
RVs
person
have
now.
gotten much nicer too.
And I just realized there's a whole culture and a lifestyle. And so after that, and by the way, I bought a lot of their stuff because I was, recently married, and I bought their dishwasher, or their washer dryer, their some of their furniture. But they just got rid of everything, and they moved into a very nice RV and they traveled. But then they came back, and after a few years of that, they decided, okay, we're ready to own a house again. This talks about the cycle that I really wanted to engage with here, that some people might see are polar opposites of, but the same way you buy your first home and you live there for 5 years, you have a baby, and then school district's important, and then later on you're selling your house because you want to move into a retirement center, you don't want that burden anymore. There's a phase of ownership that involves a recreational vehicle, and sometimes people keep their house, sometimes they don't. That's what I wanted to visit about, and just really expose the options that would be there. By the way, if you can't tell that I've been gone for 10 days, and I had no plan for a show today whatsoever except this list of things, that's how we got here. Hey, can you all stay? I don't have a guest.
Total
So-
transparency. I love that.
So how many people do you find? On my end, they want space for an RV pad. Pamela was talking about that.
Yes,
And-
I've had several, just this spring, I've had several people say they're looking for a home that has at least 1 acreage and a garage or something for their RV. And so it is getting popular. They're not particularly old, they're not ready to retire, they just like the RV when they can.
And is it hard to find those garages that have like the 14-foot doors?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah,
and,
it is.
And it's hard sometimes to find the space to build it too.
Sure.
But if you've already got one built, oh yeah, that's great. It's not that many. Should be more.
What is storage like? Like if I'm selling someone a house and there's not space to park an RV, or doesn't fit the homeowners associations, whatever, what is storage like outside of that? Because at some point you look at, like if you office at home, you're like, okay, well, this has a place, it's an office at home, I can stay here, I don't have to rent office space or lease office space. The same thing holds true with an RV.
Mm-hmm.
What do
Yeah,
you
so at Wade's RV, we offer storage, and we have outdoor storage and indoor storage. So you're looking at $45 a month on outdoor storage and $250 for indoor storage, which it comes equipped with electric, so you could have your RV hooked up at all times. And it's real easy to use.
It's amazing because it's a 16 by 50-foot space,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fully secure. You don't have to, be afraid of someone breaking into your RV, which is the case with a lot of
Yep.
RV storage parks.
Or
I would
just a
think so.
regular storage facility.
Yeah.
There's a lot of break-ins. We've had people call us,
Yeah.
say, hey, someone, took a screwdriver to our lock or whatever. They don't. That does not happen at Wade's. We have cameras. We have security on 2 different levels. So yeah, we have not had that issue.
Are you comfortable talking about price? Putting on the spot, but like how much are you looking at? If I'm talking to someone who says, well, I've got space, I just want to build a place to put my RV, over what period of time does that pay out?
Well, if you want to build a shop, you guys might know this. That probably adds really good value to your real estate.
It does.
And then you've got that 14-foot door. So, how much does a pole barn cost? You've got the cement pad, and then you've got the building. You could probably have a really nice addition to your property for $20,000.
Yeah, and so the cost of storage then on your side of it, how much does it cost if I want to lease space or rent a space at your facility because maybe I can't put it there because I don't have space, or maybe I just don't want to spend the 20 or 40, 50, whatever I decide to do.
It's $250 a month, but what you're getting convenience with that too. You have to keep in mind. So like if you were about to go out on that trip again with your family, you call Wade's RV and say, hey little Wade, we're about to go on a trip. Can you make sure that the batteries are charged? Pull it out, just check the fluids, or
Get it ready.
Wow,
Or
that's impressive.
yeah,
How helpful
or
is that?
it is,
It's
or
super helpful. It's like having a pit crew.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
And
yeah,
they'd probably do a better job than we would, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Ours
And
are
can
really
you leave
good.
your car? Can you drive there? It's okay. I'm gonna be gone and leave my car where
Absolutely.
my RV is.
yeah. That's your spot. You paid for it. You could. There's a lot of guys that actually rent it out, and they have like lawn care service in there. Yeah.
There's a very, I hate to say it, a wealthy gentleman who drives his S-Class coupe right to his spot, pulls out his $500,000 bus, parks his S-Class there. He's gone for a week or two, comes back, grabs his S-Class, goes home.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, I have to tell you, I'm a little envious of their vacation because when I was brought up, I won't say the years, but all we had were 4-door cars and 4 kids and 2 adults. And if we could go on vacation at all, we were all scrunched in there, trying to get along. The only thing we had to entertain ourselves was looking for signs, letters on signs, and sing-alongs and things like that. So that was our vacation.
That was a VW bug game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got in such a dispute with my sister when I was a kid, and we were driving to Canada. Very long trip going
Wow.
from Kentucky to Canada, but we had a panel wagon. I mean, that was luxury in its day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But we could not get along. And so my dad took all the luggage and built a wall down the middle so that we both had a place to lay down. That was in the
And those things
seat.
were so wide.
That's
You
right.
had plenty of space left.
So
Yeah.
we got along the rest of the trip, and we learned that there could be construction in a panel wagon.
So I
Yeah.
always got the jumper seat in the back, the very, very back of our Ford wagon.
And did you used to fight for that?
No, I was just, I was the middle child, and I had a bunch of sisters, so they'd get the premium seats, and I would get the bouncing seat.
I
you
like the
go.
jumper seat. So the reason I had this come up was
Can you adopt me the next time you go on vacation? It just sounds like so much
we have no
fun.
more room.
Yeah.
Had absolutely no more room. The dole's gone. Okay, well, stay tuned because I do want to tell about my story about the wreck.
Yeah, I want to hear
that
this.
was experienced, and you just breathed cow. Yeah. Greer will tell us about the cow incursion on the trip when we come back. You're listening to the Future of Real Estate.
All right, unfortunately, I have to go.
All right, bub.
Yeah, you guys have a good time.
All right.
Hey, Isaac, thanks for staying.
Absolutely. I wish I could stay longer.
When quality and
How'd
value
you
matter
get-
most, choose Window World. Superior service, American-made products, and industry-leading warranties make us the #1 choice for your next home remodel. J.D. Power ranked Window World highest in customer satisfaction with window and patio door retailers. Be proud of your home and take care of it with a brand you can trust. Window World, America's exterior remodeler.
She designed the dress, but can she budget for her future?
I'm not ready yet, but I want to be.
Help her get 100% ready.
I live in a 100-year-old home. It's a home I fell in love with, and it has so many amazing features. But the one thing it does not have is straight windows. It has windows that are cracked and broken and worn out. Contacted Window World. They came in and put these brand new, amazing, incredibly beautiful windows into my home. From the outside of the house, they match the exterior perfectly. It looks like they've always been here. Now the windows are the jewels in the home. Window World, from the beginning to the end, they met and exceeded every expectation I had. Window World really is simply the best for less.
HomeGuideTulsa.com. Shop the entire MLS in one place. HomeGuideTulsa.com. Special thanks to my sponsors today, TTCU Federal Credit Union, Integrity Title and Abstract, Window World, and of course the Baskin Real Estate Specialists. You're listening to the future of real estate. So talking about RVs and really how they fit in. As a realtor, okay, I sell sticks and bricks, land, things that are permanent, but housing is much broader than that. And it can be people who need some temporary housing, people, as we just discussed, Wade, about travel. You're on assignment. What would you call it? There's a word for it.
The per diem money?
Well, the per diem money, but people who are working on a rig, for example.
Yeah, so like pipeliners and just people that they need to be mobile with their jobs. I've even noticed traveling nurses are taking advantage of this.
Huge. There are Airbnb customers.
Yeah.
Because they're looking for a place they can stay for 2 or 3 months sometimes, or weeks at a time.
My cousin is a project manager for big construction commercial jobs. So he has temporary jobs that may last a couple of years, may last a few months. And that's what he's done. He's bought himself a nice trailer that he can move and takes the money that he gets for hotel rooms and uses it in other ways. So that he has more privacy. Like if he wants to bring his pet, he can. If he wants to just be more relaxed because he's in his space instead of a new hotel every night.
Well, as we're becoming more mobile, these other options are important. And when I say Airbnb, my investors come in and say, Daryl, we're looking for some ideal Airbnbs for this reason. And of course, if you're out, though, in a rural area on a pipeline, you're not going to find a lot of Airbnbs. So you bring up the idea of buying, and this is important. I appreciate you being transparent about it. It's not the same kind of investment as buying a house where you turn around and you sell it, and okay, you made a little bit of money on it. But if you only lose half the value, and I'm just making stuff up, but you only lose half the value and you have a recreational vehicle for your own disposal, at your disposal when you're finished with the job, and it's, I don't know, what, $14,000 for a nice pull behind, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Like if you like an entry level pull behind, you could definitely find one. Like our Aspen Trail starts out at $14,000. So
I've been shopping.
The thing that you should think about, it's like if they say, hey, here's your per diem money, let's just say $100 a week, and you take that and you hand it to a hotel company, that's it. That's of your $100. You totally lost that, right? If you take that money and it's not an investment. If you take that money and you put it towards an RV that you could live
payment.
in, as your payment, you'll get something back.
When I sold RVs, I actually did the math for one of my pipeline customers, and a lot of the pipeliners, they go for the really, really fancy RVs, and I don't blame them because they are living full time. But if you get a modest RV that's going to work and it'll be reliable, you might actually make a little money on the venture because your per diem is paying for your RV, and then when you're done with that RV, you're either trading it in and getting something you're going to vacation in, or you're going to sell it.
I handle my condos the same way. When I have a young person looking, because this is the same thing I did before I got married. I was like, well, if I buy this condo, and the one that I purchased was $13,500, and I bought it. And guess what I sold it for? $13,650.
Yeah.
And somebody would look at that on paper and say, what a dumb purchase. Except the year that I owned it, and I paid myself rent the whole time, and I had a tax deduction, and I had all of these other conveniences and amenities that I wanted, that I turned around and I just sold it basically for what I paid for, that were a tremendous benefit. That was a real win. And sometimes people look at real estate or any housing situation very short-sighted. Mm-hmm. And to have, there's a freeing thing to me. I think that's the mystique of RVing is to have a place to live that gives you it's a freedom. And to have that as a backup would be huge. Now, you talked about building a house.
Yes.
Building a house, many people in the olden days would sell something and they would take a mobile home and they would put it on the site, and they might be building over 6 months or a year or whatever. Then when they were done, they had this mobile that they could move off or use for an in-law suite or anything like that. So you're saying you're seeing that as a secondary option for a lot of people building.
Yeah, so the trend that I've noticed this last year is people are coming in, they're buying an RV, they're putting it on the lot as they build their dream home on a piece of land. And so that's a huge trend that I've been noticing.
And I want to say this, you guys might actually be able to help your customers knowing if that's your end goal is to have this land with a nice homestead, but you want to do it through the RV. That's kind of how you want to achieve this goal. You guys probably know the bankers and the finance institutions that are going to be able to strategically plan that out, so you save the most money, you get your loans at the right time.
Yes.
Absolutely. That is a big part of our service.
Because you don't want to go out and just get an RV luxury loan right before you're trying to get a mortgage. So it's all about timing, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And everyone's timing is different. Mm-hmm. What they need and when is very different. Some people want to pay cash for the land. Right. And then they want to build up and then have a certain down payment. Well, if you don't have a house payment the whole time that you're living there in an RV with this ability to just haul off and go someplace else because that's the season in life that you're in, it becomes a lifelong strategy for real estate. Again, this is why it just landed in my lap. I love this conversation, and it's a great asset to our clients who may be working in that sticks and bricks at whatever point.
Well, and people are doing their financial planning for the rest of their lives in some of these cases. They're thinking, okay, I want a vacation, but I also know I'm going to want that house. So it's really about planning retirement sometimes.
Well, speaking of vacation, I'm driving, and I love to drive at night. My eyes are better at night. I'm more alert at night. Maybe the kids are asleep, and so I'm not having to listen to so much bickering, Dad.
Do you wear driving glasses at night?
I don't. Yeah. I don't. I got a lot less of that in an RV, where there was a movie playing and there was a refrigerator and things.
Dad, Isaac's staring at me.
Yeah. Exactly.
We had a foot problem. It's like, Amelia's feet are on me. Okay, well.
Deal with it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm driving at night, and up ahead I see these cars coming to a stop, and something is going on. Didn't know what it was. Well, I get up there, and as I'm approaching, surprise, black beasts in front of me.
Oh, no.
And they were black cattle that I could not see because I'd turned my brights down, And then I get up further and I find out that this guy, 2 cars ahead of me, 3 cars, the third car ahead of him, had just plowed into full-size cattle. They were black. He couldn't see them.
Black Angus.
Yeah. And I look down and there's a horn on the ground and blood splattered all over the side of the car. And it was a pickup. I put a picture of it on Facebook, but that was scary. We were in Wyoming, and there's free range around there, and I don't know that they were out of.
Oh wow!
I don't know. I don't know that they were free. If they were free range or they're out of somebody's
I think a
land.
lot of people that drive up there for vacations, they forget basic safety. Keep those brights on.
Yeah.
It's so important.
That's what I just texted one of my friends today that said, hey, we're going to be RVing in that area. What would you recommend? I said, just don't turn your brights off.
Well,
and if you think there's something up in the road, it's not like you're driving down Memorial and you've got lit streets. Just be aware of that.
And
Yeah.
Well,
those
there's all
animals
kinds
just
of
pop right
animals.
out.
You've got moose, you've got deer. I mean, I would think moose and deer would be more common
You've
than
got
cattle.
buffalo. You've got the bison.
So yeah, that's true anytime you're in the country. But also, we tend to drive really fast, and you're not going to see that animal far enough out if you're driving 80 miles an hour. I mean,
I couldn't get it to go up to 80. 75 was the max, although I
Yeah.
wasn't trying to.
yeah.
But really, like 60, 65
Yeah.
to 70 range was where I felt it was most comfortable.
Yes.
Is that
that's
about
what I
right?
would recommend. It definitely,
Okay.
yeah, because that gives you time to always be planning ahead, like looking far enough in advance, like for the cattle or whatever,
Right.
any
And
safety.
Those truck tires, even though they're Michelins, for the most part, that's what the RV industry uses. They're rated 75 miles an hour for 3 hours.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well-
so it's just a safety thing.
This was great. I'm so glad you could stay, and I could impose
Thank you.
on your schedule.
Yeah.
Like, hey, stay here. We've got plenty of stuff to talk about in the last half. I've got a long question. You can text your questions to, what is it?
95920.
Okay, text your real estate questions in. I'm Daryl Baskin. You've been listening to The Future of Real Estate with our special guest,
Little Wade. Thank you.
and Isaac from Wade's RV, and we'll talk to them next week. We will come back after this break and tell you about some houses for sale, some financing issues that you want to know about, and Pamela,
Yes, tips for new buyers, for your first home buyer.
and I'm meeting one tomorrow. Stay tuned. So we get a contract on your home, and now we've got to talk about those things that are staying with the house. The time to really talk about it, though, is now, before we have a contract. So things that are expected to stay will be kind of in the fine print. It's really not that fine. It's a section in the contract. Now, I've included that, a link to it, so that you can see it and review it. But there's some other items that are by default expected, and those things would be considered attached to the house. So if they're not listed in the section that I've included for you, that link, then maybe you need to remove them or replace them. Let me give you an example. Your great-grandmother's Tiffany lamp that you had installed. Well, if some buyer comes in and just falls in love with it, that's something that you're going to find very hard to replace. So replace it now. A buyer's going to come in, they're going to probably like or be indifferent to what you picked, but if you don't replace it ahead of time, then they're going to fall in love with it, and the whole sale of the house is going to be teetering on this lamp. Or window coverings, or bathroom mirrors are another example, something that's just really special to you. So think about those things. If they are yours, get them out of sight, or if they're yours and you can't just go to Walmart and replace it with something else, get those out of sight. Now, the other items can be lawn implements of some sort, like decorations. Those can often be a gray area. So if there's a statuary or something of that nature, maybe a hand-painted mailbox, whatever, if you've got a question about it, call me and ask. And if in doubt, let's just get it out of sight so we don't have to worry about it and it doesn't become a hindrance to your successful sale and closing.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Stephanie. Okay. I don't know which camera we're using, but use that. Make sure you want to make sure that what you're hearing, just put one in.
Each year, millions of domestic violence victims stay in abusive situations because they fear for the safety of their pet. With less than 10% of domestic violence surgeries around pets, too many lives remain at risk. Victims of
Because
domestic
they
violence
fear the
should
safety of
never
their
have
pet.
to make a
Yeah,
choice
about
between their own safety and the safety of their loved ones, including pets. That's why the Banfield Foundation.
What time is my appointment to take pictures?
2:30,
Oh, 2:30.
right after this.
Wait a minute. Okay, I was thinking 1:30, 2:30. I've been in a different time zone.
Yeah, but yeah, they're ready for it whenever you get to the argument.
Good. Yeah, I'd like to get there early.
Safer together.
The Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council present the story of Cynthia and Ed.
My mother was always very active and independent, and she was familiar with her neighborhood. But one day, out of the blue, she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. And she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn or just stay at the stop sign. She wasn't really sure where she was at. She was...
Since I probably won't have a chance to talk to you afterwards, would you mind calling me on your way back or something? Sometime we can just chat about a couple things.
Yeah, I can talk to you. I can probably call you on the way if I'm not catching up.
I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you and we'll figure it out. When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk has Tulsa's most accurate and dependable forecast.
We'll see temperatures warm up as we head through the afternoon. Partly cloudy skies, 95 for that high. But we do have a heat advisory in place, meaning heat index values up around 108 for us. Even warmer as we head through Sunday and Monday. 99 on Sunday, 100 on Monday. With those heat index values up around 110 on Monday. We'll see some cooler weather move in with a cold front for the middle part of the week. I'm meteorologist Megan McClellan for Fox 23 and 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
Thank you, Megan. Right now, it's 92 degrees. It is starting to heat up out there. So make sure you get in the shade, drink lots of water if you're going to be outside. Also, got an accident to report, an injury accident, 400 block of South Sheridan. Right now, we're going to get back to more at Darryl Baskin.
Such great music. You're listening to The Future of Real Estate, Tulsa's source for local real estate news and information. Today's program brought to you by TTCU Federal Credit Union, Integrity Title, Window World of Tulsa, and the Baskin Real Estate Specialist. Pamela Wright with me here in the studio. And Pamela, before we talk about first-time home buyer strategies or tips or whatever it is you've got, you always come up with good stuff. I want to talk about I don't know.
Houses. Let's talk about houses. We've been putting houses out.
Oh, you're right. Well, I don't want to talk about you got a houses contract. just yet. How about my two commercial properties that I've got to get out here? 6122 South Garnett, $990,000. This is a property that we've done different things with it, but it has 7,500 square feet in the back that's basically right now not utilized.
Well, what a great location.
It's interesting.
61st and Garnett. I see meeting between 61st and 71st and Garnett. What great location.
There's nothing right there on the northwest corner. It's just undeveloped. I don't know why it's been sitting there for so long. On the east side, going into Broken Arrow, you have an entire industrial district that has developed and redeveloped from the old Ford glass plant, which is a mile away. It's redeveloped into a full-blown industrial park, and that connection is taking place. You know, if I'm showing that property and I want to get there, I allow about 12 minutes from almost anywhere because
really?
It's so
12 minutes.
So close on the expressway. That's literally from my house, from downtown, wherever
from
it is.
South Tulsa, from downtown, from Broken Arrow.
Yes.
That's great.
Now you might have to do some adjustments if you're not in one of the primary areas, as you do with anything. But it's interesting in Tulsa, if you're near an expressway, and unless there's something impeding you, you can almost always count on that 12 minutes if it's centrally located. To get completely across town, you can look at 20 to 30 depending on traffic.
Okay, so the real question for me is, what does the building look like? You say you have a lot of white wide open space in the back. What about the front? Do you
Well,
have office
here's the
spaces or what?
big, it's retail in the front. The big draw on a property is how it can, if you're analyzing it from an investor's standpoint, is how much income can it bring. So if you've got 5 retail spaces and you're looking at whatever the general rate is, in this case, you can kind of calculate each one of them depending on whether you spruce it up and you make some real fancy stuff, which is all dependent on the area and what the demand is there, or if you are going to go on a little lower budget and provide fewer services, etc. But you're looking at about $1,200 per space. Well, then you take the back. What if you're a business owner and you need office space or some production bullpen type area, maybe some not quite warehouse, but some assembly area, 7,500 square feet in the back. It used to be a dance studio. And then you want to later have some retail space. Punch through the wall, and now you've got a small retail space that takes customers back into a showroom area. You have a small showroom up front, and then you put the other in the back. If you want a reception area up front with your, where you're really grinding things out in the back and assembling things, whatever it might be. That's what this building is ideal for. If you just look at it on paper and say this much square footage with only the front half rented, that's not going to show well on paper as an investment. You'd have to rent out the back. But somebody who wants to have an office space with income that's future expansion area as well, that is what this building at 6122 South Garnett really stands out for. And it's available. $990,000 is the price. And I think if you compare and you look around to some of the others, it's an ideal positioned in an ideal manner right now. Well, you're listening to The Future of Real Estate. One address, thousands of homes, homeguidetulsa.com, or you can find us at Baskin Commercial if you're looking for some commercial property. That's a profile there. We can get some others to you. Some private database searches that don't exist to the public, where our commercial peers here are sharing that information. If you're looking for something specific, make sure you reach out to me, and we'll get you connected with those other places that are available. And what sometimes we often call hip pockets as a realtor is like, look, we talk to somebody, this is what we've got for sale, but we can't put it out there publicly right now because that affects our business. So that's why a lot of this is behind the scenes and through conversation, and real estate brokers share that information together. BaskinCommercial.com. You're listening to The Future of Real Estate, Tulsa's source for local real estate news and information. I'm Daryl Baskin. Pamela,
yes.
Home buyers.
Yes, first-time home buyers.
You know,
I think that choosing
stuff, I didn't come up with something catchy. It's just, okay, first-time home buyers. Haven't we read a million articles on that?
This is common mistake that first-time home buyers make.
You can never read enough articles on that.
Well, here's the thing.
You don't know until it's over.
You may have bought a home 10 years ago. So it's not like you buy a home every couple of years, so it's easy to forget things and make the same mistakes again. So
well, everything's changed.
The first time.
Everything has completely changed. I talked to one of my older clients yesterday. We were recapping after the home sale, and I didn't know what they were going to think. I was nervous. So my extra cup of coffee didn't help. But I sat down there with them. We had a great relationship. They're totally wonderful, sweet people.
I think that choosing anything for your home can be...
When you ask the question of, okay, Harold and Linda, I would like you to tell me, very honestly, what was your experience? What were your pain points? And it's hard to hear that stuff because it's really personal to me. It's like I wanted to be the best all the time. You don't control a lot of things. And
right.
So they, being from a completely different generation, I know I've taken away I asked you a question and now I'm running off with something else, but it is going to tie in with what you're going to find a perfect tie in. They were delighted. I was just so relieved because we talked about everything that was different from the time they had purchased that house over 30 years ago. Pamela, over 30 years ago, you haven't purchased a property. Well, we didn't show up at closing. There was no closing. You know how frustrating that is to somebody who is expecting to show up and talk to the buyer? Well, how do we tell them about the garage door? Well, how do we tell them what the code is? How do we tell them about the neighbors? It's special to them. It's their home, and they want to be able to see and convey. And when the buyer signs one day, the seller signs another day, and then federal law says you can't even be in the same room when you're signing loan documents, and then because of all of that, and the money's exchanging hands at a different time. There's no point in being there because
Well,
you
it's a
didn't get
wire,
the check.
You don't really get a check half the time. It just goes straight in the account, which isn't a bad thing, but it's a different feeling.
So the experience is the key difference here. The experience is different. And you bring up the point of, well, if you didn't do it you haven't done it in 10 years, you forget. But if you did do it 10 years ago and you remembered every single facet of the transaction, it's different.
That's right.
So,
okay, myth number one. Here's a myth buster for you. Believing that you need 20% down, a 20% down payment. A lot of people believe that, and there's so many options out there. You know, you can get something sometimes 5% down. Sometimes you can do a no down payment if you qualify. So there's a lot of options out there.
okay, I wish everybody could pay cash for their home. Actually, I think the economy would be so much more sound if there was never a foreclosure and everybody could pay cash. But sometimes people think, especially first-time home buyers, they think, oh, I need to save more for my down payment. Well, I do think you need to save. I don't think we save enough.
Right.
But I also know that real estate generates wealth for your family when you use it properly. And in so many cases, especially with the interest rates as low as they are, you get further ahead by taking a no down or low down payment loan, or maybe no down payment, and you buy the property and you buy it with a financial plan, and you make use of the, if you had to save the money that you're thinking in older terms that you have to save, it would be 5 years or more before you could actually afford to buy.
And who knows where the interest rates would be at that point. So
And
we
I-
already talked about low interest rates means a smaller payment.
I have an example of buying some rental property one time, and somebody said, well, Daryl, didn't you overpay for that? And I said, well, two things. First of all, if I had waited until the price came down, it wouldn't have been available because there was too much competition once the price lowered. And over the 2 years, while I was waiting, just letting it ride out and the market dropped, over that 2 years, the people who were renting the house, because I wasn't paying for it, the renters were paying down the loan, and they paid down the loan more than what I would have saved had I waited.
Right.
And so when you're looking at time value of money and not just the color of the walls and the light fixtures, it's a very different evaluation, and you should.
Well, and that brings me to the second point, because a lot of people get so focused on they want to save here and they want to save there. Sometimes they lowball on their initial offers. Instead of saying, okay, we've got a house, first-time home buyer, usually means the houses are not the most expensive houses on the market, maybe they're in the lower end of the market. So they're already down low, but if you say, well, I'm going to come in and it's important for me to show that I'm really smart here and I'm going to get the best deal, so I'm going to lowball, a lot of times you lose that opportunity. Which is more important, that you've saved $100 or that you've got the house?
Well, so many times lowball, the percentage is very different. $5,000 on a $100,000 house is much more than $5,000 on a $300,000 house,
Exactly.
percentage-wise. And there's the idea that, and I'll compare it to auctions. I love to compare to auctions. An auction there's the idea that you have to get something off the price in order to be getting anything of value, and you're stupid if you pay full price. Okay, well, first of all, you're not stupid if you pay full price. If you can negotiate off of it.
Because the price is already marked down.
Maybe. Okay, maybe it's not. You have to determine that. This is why people don't care about who their realtor is until they get into this situation, and then you're like, oh, I guess I should have picked somebody who knew what they were doing. Real estate is relative, 100% relative. Guess what? I don't set the price when I'm selling a house. I don't set the terms and conditions. I work to negotiate them. I evaluate them with my client. If it's a home seller, we're evaluating what a buyer's choices are. If we're a home buyer, we're evaluating what our buyer's choices are. And if a buyer has better choices, then your house is, for the same price, then your house isn't worth what you're asking. If a buyer doesn't have better choices, your house may be worth more than what they're asking. Well, what happens when you go to an auction? They don't start it up high. Well, sometimes the auctioneer will say, well, $1,000, and they bring it down to $500 and get it started. But what happens if you're auctioning a house is maybe it's a $200,000 house and bids open at $10,000. Everybody's going to show up for that. I've been to auctions. I had no interest in buying the house. I'm like, well, for $50,000, I'll go get some money. This is worth $100. I'll buy that. So but that's what brings the market together. Well, when you're a home seller, if you're looking around and in your neighborhood, everything is selling for $145, but they're all listed for $165, and you price yours for $155, and a buyer walks in and looks at it and like, gosh, my next choice is $165. I'd rather pay full price for this one than get a $5,000 discount on the other one down the street, right?
Right.
So as a home buyer, you have to evaluate it for what it really is, and not just because somebody, one of your friends says, well, how much did you get off the price? And that's the only measurement, because it's really not the only measurement. It's overall value. And what is that to you? That's what we help you determine using all of these other factors together. It's not just price per square foot.
You want to keep in mind again, not being so focused that I saved $1,000, I brought the best food to the table, but what is this value to me? How much do I want this house? How many houses out there that fit me as much as this house? And that brings me to another point for mistakes people make is sometimes they have so many things on the list they want, and they're not willing to compromise and let go of some of those things. You just walk around unhappy because you didn't get every 10 thing you wanted. Maybe you got 7, maybe you got 6, but you didn't get every exact thing you wanted.
Well,
So,
maybe
not willing to
those 10
compromise.
things on your list all involve renting, because you might not ever become a homeowner. There is some give and take that happens there, but there's some huge advantages that come from home ownership, and that's what we talk about. That's what the long-term benefit is, and that's what we help you decide why we consider Baskin Real Estate Specialists it's a process of earning your business. That's what we're looking at. And when we have this, I've got a discussion tomorrow with a home buyer that we're just going to, we're not going to go jump in the car and go look at houses. We're going to talk about what the strategy is. What is it that you're looking for? Looking at 100 houses isn't necessary. It's looking at what your best strategy is, what's going to get you to the next phase in life. And when we're talking again in 5 years, 10 years, or 30 years, like Harold and Linda, that we look back and it was the right decision for what you needed, not what your neighbor said, not what your mom said, and that it was all put together in the right plan for you. One address, thousands of homes, homeguidetulsa.com, or call us, 918-740-0077. That's the super secret half James Bond number. You can get a hold of Pamela that way. Yes, it's answered by a robot. You just press a button and you'll be transferred. That's right. 740-0077. You're listening to Future Real Estate. Back after this.
I think that choosing anything for your home can be intimidating.
When we are faced with a decision of this magnitude, and there are so many options and there are so many choices.
To have someone hold your hand and say, hey, these are some good options, start here, but use it as a springboard. Let it be your inspiration.
We had the privilege of getting together with some other bloggers and people from Window World to work on a design guide that'll be coming out in 2017.
Just the variety of options that Window World had available, and the fun of selecting this color and making some bold choices.
We love pops of color, whether it's bringing in those colors on the outside or inside. We just think it's something that a lot of people can use in their life. A lot of people tend to stay towards neutrals because it's easy, but they want the color in their life. They just don't know how to do it.
The bold color choices are kind of really coming into their own. I think we've seen it in exterior with brilliant color choices for doors.
Metallics are a big deal right now, and mixing your metals. Rules no longer apply.
I would encourage people to, look at that trend, but also look at all the other wonderful options Window World has and pick what you really love deep down.
I truly believe that you should just do what you want to do.
If you let your heart do a little bit more of the decorating, then you will truly create a home that you love.
We like to help people make design choices in their home. We built a partner with a brand that kind of has that same philosophy of wanting to make someone feel a little bit better and more comfortable and give them that freedom to make choices.
The choices that we made, I hope that they encourage people. I hope they provide a design framework for someone that's really looking to take the bold step to redo their home.
$5,000. I think that brings it to $629.
What's the best criteria for choosing?
So it's under $630 now, so maybe I'm doing it from the top.
You want someone who can give you the best advice.
What's today, the 10th?
Yes.
In your area.
all the sense. My
Has
dad is
tools and
different.
resources that create an advantage for you as the home seller
He
to
died
get the
3
best
years ago,
price
but
in the
still
shortest
here.
amount of time possible. You want a real estate professional who represents you.
I'm sorry. Those are rough days sometimes. I don't think about
I
it.
just think about him because I think it's a sweet living. By the time he died, his body was so worn he needed to go.
I get in a little bit of a funk around the time that my dad died, and I don't even think about it. It's not something that crosses my mind. I just get not grumpy, just serious. Okay.
Well, I get a little almost curious because
can't
I
do
think
that.
about what a great daddy was. And,
You gotta pull these apart, okay?
Because everybody loves your parents, but he really was a pretty amazing. It's interesting to see people who live a simple life but have such positive.
One address,
influence.
thousands of homes, homeguidetulsa.com. You know, we opened the show, we had Wade's RV staying around, and guess what? I've got a property in Stillwater that has all connections for an RV park.
Awesome.
Now, it's 11 acres. The whole acreage there was not set up for an RV park, but the corner of it was. And I don't know how many are there, but I'm guessing probably about 30 spots. So you could turnkey, just turn the power back on, have all the sewer connection, the dump connections are there. You could have a turnkey RV park. It's got a building that's got set up for laundry, so you have a little office, things that RVers are looking for, where you've got that laundry connection.
Now,
And
where is it? Did you say Skytip or did you say Stillwater?
Stillwater, 2929 Perkins Road. So that could be a business startup. $1,750,000 is the price, and that's a small portion of the land, and the rest of it could be developed. You could just redevelop the whole thing, but it's got a large industrial type like auto shop on it, and that could be because it's a metal building. I call it industrial. It could be easily finished out, turned into regular office. It's a steel building. So, and the house that's there, not any real value. It's habitable, but this is definitely commercial property. And it's just on the outside of Stillwater city limits. So you don't have the city to deal with whatever you're developing. And lots of people like that. It's like, you don't have to worry about all the extra approvals and things that can often be a hindrance when you're dealing with commercial development. Yet it's got all the traffic that you want, and it's just right there on the edge. 2929 Perkins Road. You can find more information on that online, and you can check us out at baskincommercial.com to get in contact with us. We'll get you more information. So you are listening to The Future of Real Estate, Tulsa's source for local real estate news and information, which is brought to you by TTCU, Federal Credit Union, Integrity Title and Abstract, Window World, and the Baskin Real Estate Specialists. So I don't know what to talk about next, Pamela. You go, because you ask a question and then I talk for 10 minutes. Or you say, this is my topic, and then I talk for 10 minutes.
How do you do? I've noticed that. Well, if I've got time, let me go ahead and give you a couple more tips for the first-time home buyer. And again, it's not just the first-time home buyers. People, every time you buy, you need to think about that. And that's one thing, when you get inspections, when you're the seller, you need to expect inspectors to find things. No matter how nice your house is, it's their job to find things, okay? If you're the buyer, you need to be informed about that, but it doesn't mean that you should expect the seller
everything
to
on the
fix
inspection.
Everything he finds.
Yeah.
Sometimes they find things and give you good advice about just home maintenance, and that's very helpful to learn that and hear that. But please don't go back to the seller, and that's a mistake, a common mistake people make. They get mad about it, they want everything fixed. And it's like, well, unless it's a brand new home, you should expect to find some things.
Pamela, so well stated. Back to Harold and Linda, our little McDonald's meetup where we were just, hey, how did things go? How did you feel about this? He said, Daryl, I was really upset when the buyer wanted all of these things to be fixed, and I kind of backed off and said, interestingly, in the relative terms, that was not a very long list, and yet to a home seller, and he was right. This was built 30 years ago. It's not going to be brand new. It met code when it was built, so you knew that when you bought it. don't ask me to fix all this stuff.
And people do, both sides get very angry, and it can crumble a really good deal. And guess what happens if it crumbles? The buyers walk away. They don't have the house they wanted.
They've spent money on inspections.
I seen about $1,000 worth of
Inspections, appraisals, heartache. But if you enter it knowing that this is what's reasonable, and you know something else? When a buyer sees the seller as a human being, and the seller sees a buyer as a human being, and this was one of the things that helped in this, but you've been there for 30 years, you raised your family there, you've done all of these things with such memories, and now you're passing this on to someone else. If you can see it as an opportunity to give a gift, and say, if I were moving into this, what would I want to have? I would want this thing because it's safe, to make it safer. And as a buyer, you know, do you really need to pick this apart? Or is this something that you can do together with your family when you move?
How are you going to feel when it's time for you to sell? You know, are you going to, be expect yourself to fix every little thing? So yeah, that's another one.
There's a lot of
people forget. One more thing, I'll keep it short, is just to shop around for mortgages. You know, there's differences between different mortgage companies that can save you, and think about local mortgage companies that usually do a little better job for you.
Apply online today, ttcu.com. I'm Daryl Baskin. You're listening to The Future of Real Estate. We'll see you here next week. AskinForBaskin.com. By the way, schedule a phone call. Let's talk and get your real estate situation solved. AskinForBaskin.com. Okay. No, it's cool.
I'm not the open guy anymore.
Yeah. Welcome. Okay.